Have you ever wondered what it truly takes for a 16-year-old Amish girl raised with no phone, no car, no education beyond 8th grade, and no world beyond her own community to walk out into the dark and never come back? This is that story. The life she left. She was 16, which in an Amish home means she was already halfway to being a wife. School had ended at 14. Every day since then had been the same rising before 5. Cooking, cleaning, sewing, tending younger siblings, and waiting for a life that had already been decided for her. She had no say in it. She had never been asked. The night she left, she had planned it for weeks. There was no dramatic argument, no final confrontation with her father or her bishop. Just a Tuesday night in early spring when she lay in bed fully dressed, waiting for the house to go quiet. When it did, she rose without a sound, stepped over the floorboard she knew would creak, and walked out the back door into a darkness so complete that the only thing guiding her was memory of a path she had walked 1,000 times. She had no bag. She had no money. She had a phone number written on nothing, kept only in her head, belonging to a non-Amish woman 2 counties over who had once told her, quietly, that if she ever needed a way out, she should call. She walked 3 miles to a gas station. She used the payphone. She did not look back at the road behind her. What she carried. This is where the reality of her situation becomes clear. She had no birth certificate, no social security card, no driver's license, because Amish do not drive. No high school diploma, because Amish schooling ends at 8th grade, and 8th grade in a one-room Amish schoolhouse does not prepare a girl for job applications, bank accounts, or medical forms. Her English was functional but limited. She had never used a computer. She had never filed anything with a government office. She had never ridden a city bus or stood in a checkout line alone or ordered food from a menu. She had roughly $20 saved in secret over months from small household tasks. That was everything. That was what 16 years of life inside a closed community left her with when she walked into the English world. $20 and a phone number and a name she wasn't sure anyone outside her community would ever know how to say. The family's mourning. Her mother found the note at 4:30 in the morning. It said very little, that she was safe, that she was sorry, that she loved them. Her mother read it twice, then sat down at the kitchen table and did not move for a long time. Her father, when he came downstairs, read it standing up. He set it back on the table without a word and went out to start the morning chores, because in an Amish home, the animals do not wait for grief. Her younger siblings were told only that their sister had gone away for a while. No one used the word runaway. No one called the police, because that is not how Amish families handle such things. Bringing in outside authorities is a last resort, and even then, only in cases of genuine danger. She was 16. She was not baptized. She had not broken any covenant with the church. She had broken something harder to name, something that lived in the space between a daughter and her parents, and the family would carry that silence at breakfast for weeks. The bishop and the community. By the following Sunday, everyone knew. In a tight Amish community, there are no secrets that last beyond a week. The bishop did not announce it from the front of the church, but he did not need to. Word travels through Amish districts the way it has always traveled through women talking at quilting circles, through men mentioning it quietly after worship, through neighbors who saw the father's face and understood without being told. The bishop's position was careful and measured. She had not been baptized. A girl who leaves before baptism cannot be formally shunned under Amish church law because she has made no covenant to break. The Maidung, the official act of shunning, applies only to those who join the church and then abandon it. So technically, legally, by the rules of the Ordnung, she remained a daughter of the community in standing. But rules and reality are different things. No family invited her parents to dinner that week. No one spoke of her approvingly. The community's silence around her name was its own form of judgment, one that did not require a bishop's decree to carry weight. Her first week outside, she had imagined the English world her entire life based on glimpses, a car window, a store visit, the face of a tourist with a camera at the edge of a field. Nothing had prepared her for what it actually felt like to be inside it. The noise was the first thing. Not just traffic, but the constant background frequency of a world that never fully quieted, televisions through walls, phones going off, music from somewhere she could not identify. The lights were next. Stores lit so brightly they made her squint. At night, even in a residential neighborhood, the dark was never fully dark. She did not know how to use a smartphone. She did not know how to read a bus schedule. Simple things, a self-checkout machine, a revolving door, a debit card required explanation. The woman who had helped her leave was kind and patient, but kindness could not close the distance between what this girl had been raised to know and what the outside world simply assumed everyone already understood. She was not stupid. She was not slow. She was a 16-year-old who had been educated in a system designed to keep her exactly where she had always been. The shunning question. Here is what most people get wrong about an Amish girl who leaves before baptism. They assume that because she cannot be formally shunned, she walks away clean. She does not. Formal shunning the Maidung is the official church sanction. But what she experiences is something the Amish do not have a name for because naming it would require acknowledging it happens. Her parents can still speak to her. They can call her, visit her, receive her letters. Nothing in the Ordnung prevents it. But they often do not because they do not love her, but because maintaining contact with a daughter who has rejected the community creates its own complications. It invites questions. It suggests approval. It places the parents in an uncomfortable position before the bishop and the district. Some families find private ways to stay in touch. Others go quiet for months, sometimes years, waiting to see whether she will come back on her own. The girl who left does not experience freedom from consequence just because no church elder formally declared her shunned. She experiences something quieter and in some ways harder, a door left neither fully open nor fully closed. The pull back home. Most come back. That is the fact that rarely makes it into the documentaries or the news stories, because return is not a dramatic story. Studies and community accounts suggest that somewhere between 85 and 90% of Amish youth who leave during or around the Rumspringa years eventually return to be baptized. Even among those who leave more definitively, who cross the line this girl crossed, who walk out in the dark without a goodbye, a significant number find their way home within a year. Not because the outside world is terrible, though it is harder than they imagined, but because the thing they left was not only restriction, it was also their mother's voice and their siblings' faces and the specific smell of their family's kitchen in October and a community of people who had known them since birth. Loneliness in the English world is a different animal than anything they were warned about. It does not arrive loudly. It arrives slowly, in the spaces between one day and the next, in the absence of every familiar thing. Some girls call home from a parking lot, crying after 3 weeks. Some last longer before the weight of it becomes too much. If she stays. If she does not go back, if she makes the harder choice to build something from the ground she has landed on the road ahead, is specific and demanding. First comes identification. Without a birth certificate, getting a social security card requires navigating government offices with limited documentation. Without a social security card, getting a driver's license, opening a bank account, or applying for most jobs becomes a bureaucratic obstacle course. Organizations exist specifically to help former Amish navigate these systems. Amish to English transition networks operating quietly in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana that have guided hundreds of young women through this exact process. Then comes education. Most pursue a GED, which requires catching up years of mathematics and science and history that Amish schooling never covered. Emma Gingerich, who left her Missouri community at 18, spent years working toward her degree while holding jobs, learning to drive, and building a life that bore no resemblance to the one she had been raised for. She eventually earned her MBA, but she also said plainly that she had not fully forgiven herself for the grief she caused her family. Both things were true at the same time, if she returns. Returning is not as simple as walking back through the front door. A girl who left without being baptized can come home, and the community is generally willing to receive her. But she must present herself humbly. She must acknowledge that she left, that it was wrong to leave without permission, and that she now wishes to commit herself to the faith. In most districts, returning girls go through a period of instruction before being baptized as adult members. If the bishop and the church leaders are satisfied that her repentance is genuine, she is welcomed back. Her parents are often quietly relieved in a way they would never say out loud. Her younger siblings look at her differently with something between admiration and confusion. But the community watches. For a period of months, sometimes longer, she is observed more carefully than other young women her age. Whether she rejoins church groups seamlessly or quietly remains a step outside full acceptance depends on the community, the family, and the quiet judgment of women who were there the morning her mother found the note. What no one prepares her for is how much she has changed in the time she was gone and how little the community has. The kitchen looks the same, the schedule is the same, the prayers are the same, but she has seen something now that cannot be unseen. She has stood inside a grocery store at midnight. She has heard a song on the radio that made her cry for reasons she cannot fully explain. She has made a decision entirely on her own and lived with its consequences. That kind of experience does not simply dissolve when she puts her plain dress back on. It settles somewhere deep and quiet, and she carries it every day inside a life that has no room for it. Some returning girls adapt with what looks like genuine peace. They marry within a year or two, raise children, and find that the structure they once suffocated under now feels like solid ground. Others adapt on the surface while carrying a private grief they will never name out loud to anyone inside the community. They sing the hymns, they follow the ordnung, they do everything that is asked of them. But there is a part of them that never fully came back, that stayed in some unreachable way at that payphone in the dark. Her mother knows. Mothers always know. And in the rare quiet moments between one task and the next, she watches her daughter's face for something she cannot name, looking for the girl who left and wondering whether she ever truly came home. The weight of the choice. What people outside the Amish world often miss is that this was never really a choice between freedom and captivity. It was a choice between two kinds of loss. If she stays gone, she loses her family in ways that no legal document or court ruling can restore. She loses the language she was raised in. She loses the particular comfort of a world where everything was known and everyone knew her. She gains freedom, yes, but freedom without a foundation is a very cold thing, especially at 16. If she goes back, she gains her family and her community and a life that holds together. But she gives up the question. She cannot stop asking the one that drove her out of bed in the dark in the first place. What else is out there? And whether she can live a full life while that question goes permanently unanswered is something only she will ever know. Every year, Amish girls leave. Most return. A few do not. There is no version of this story that does not carry grief in both directions. Grief for what was left. Grief for what was lost. Grief for the girl standing at a payphone in the dark at 4 in the morning who had made the biggest decision of her life and was already learning that big decisions do not come with the relief you imagined they would. She was 16. She is still someone's daughter. That part never changes, regardless of which road she takes home.